Tommy Rex, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host.
The Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival returns May 14th through 17th with My Chemical Romance, Tool, Bring Me the Horizon, and Shinedown. Plus, Pierce the Veil, Good Charlotte, The Offspring, Sublime, Godsmack, Breaking Benjamin, Marilyn Manson, and so many more. Sonic Temple in Columbus, Ohio, May 14th to 17th. Passes on sale now for as low as $1 down at sonictemplefestival.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle, and I'm looking to do a little bit of midnight creeping with my new friend Nicole from the Darts. What's going on, Nicole? How you doing?
I'm great. I would love to midnight creep with you.
I have been enjoying what I've been hearing and seeing on YouTube, so I am excited to talk about it for sure. But usually when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to go like way back. So do you remember what you originally wanted to be when you grew up?
Oh my God, that's way back. I think I wanted to be either president or an astronaut. And I would never want either of those jobs, but there you go. Yeah.
And then what was it?
Small aspirations.
Yeah. And then what was it that, what was like some of your like earliest influences of music?
Well, I have a very strange musical story compared to probably the most of the people that you interview. I started out in classical piano. So I was a little kid playing 4, sometimes 6 hours a day, competing all over. I grew up in Chicago, so I was competing all over the Midwest, and was very, very, very serious about it. So it was a lot of Beethoven and Mozart and Khachaturian and Chopin, and that was my life. I loved it. So I didn't really, the only exposure I had to like pop was WLS radio in Chicago on my little tiny clock radio that I had strapped to my bicycle handlebars. And so I would go around the neighborhood listening just to what they were playing during the day. And that was my only exposure to it. So I remember the very first song I really ever fell in love with as a tiny kid, that was a pop song, was Rich Girl by Hall & Oates.
Nice. And you were feeling like a rich girl with that little radio strapped to your your bike ahead of your time.
I was so cool. No, I was the opposite of cool. I was the nerdiest nerd you ever met in your life, my whole life. So that's me.
Well, welcome home. You're with family.
Yeah, it's funny to be in the punk world and meet so many like-minded people. It feels so validating.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm like one of those. I was just checking my emails earlier, and I'm looking at all the guests that are coming through with the Fan Expo. We get like the Wizard World, and back in the day,
yeah.
and me and my daughter's like hitting those up all the time. That's one of our jams right there. And our family photo each year is with whoever the main celebrity we want to pay for the professional photo with that year.
Perfect. I love it. The family that wizards together stays together.
Yeah. And when was it that you were doing the piano, playing out live, doing that and performing, but when was it that you started crossing over and starting a band?
Well, with every step that my life got busier, I had less time to do the music I wanted to do. So classical, like I said, took 4 or 6 hours a day. It was a lot. And then my parents are scientists. They were like, you're not going to study music. That's ridiculous. So I went off to college and studied psychology and deviant psychology. That was my thing, criminal law, all that stuff. And then I found when I was in school that I had a lot less time. So I started playing in jazz ensembles, because jazz is, in my mind at the time, it was a little easier because you didn't have to practice. It was more improv. So I did that and played in all the resorts. And so I helped pay my own rent doing, jazz ensembles. Learned a lot. And then when I actually became a lawyer and then a judge, and I had less and less time. So I started playing in a rock cover band made up of lawyers. It was called Sidebar.
That's great.
I know we played in the bar right next to the courthouse, like on Thursday nights, and it was packed full of lawyers. But I learned all these cover songs that were like basic rock covers that everybody knows, you know, and that was helpful. That was like I got the jazz education, and I got the rock education, and then I started my own original band with one of those Sidebar guys, and started writing a little bit, and that was my first foray into like putting my own original songs out there. The band was called Blue Fur. It was named after all the Blue Muppets. Nerd alert. And we played, because we were lawyers, we didn't really need the money, but we needed exposure. So we played every horrible, crappy gig you could name in the Phoenix general area. Everything from, you know, a dive bar to the judicial conference. You know, like, everything we could do, we did it for free usually. And at one of those shows, a guy slipped me a note after the show, one of those shows where nobody was there but like one guy. And the note said, "I've been watching what you're doing, and I really want to start a band, and I want you to front it. Let me know if you're interested." And so I looked this guy up, and it turns out that his name is Michael Johnny Walker, and he's like one of the big guitar players in Arizona. Like, he's toured with Pearl Jam. He's done a lot of stuff, you know? And I was new to this whole scene. I'm like, yes. What do you need? And he was like, "I want to start a band. The influence will be old 60s garage, because I love your keyboard sound that you're getting on this little dumb like Casio keyboard I was using. And Boss Hogg, John Spencer's, you know, project with his wife." And he's like, "I want to take those two influences and make a band." I'm like, "I'm in." So we start this band called the Love Me Nots. And by this time, I'm a full-time judge, criminal court judge in Phoenix. And this band, the Love Me Nots, just, I can't describe it. It took off. The very first show we ever played in Phoenix ended up as a photograph on the cover of the Phoenix New Times. It went crazy. We were touring Europe. We got signed immediately once we were over there. We were in Rolling Stone and Spin, and we were recording with Jim Diamond, who did all the White Stripes records. And so that was my first exposure way late in life to, you know, all this stuff. He had actually had to sit me down and go, "Okay, I have to teach you garage rock. So we're going to listen to all the Seeds records, all the Animals records. Here's Question Mark and the Mysterium. We're going to like play all the organ songs for you so you can learn the riffs." And it worked. I loved it. I loved it so much. It stuck.
I mean, if I wasn't already intrigued watching the music videos, I'm a lot more intrigued now, though. So first you go to college for deviant psychology, which I could see that playing into the new, you know, in the darks, big time.
That tracks perfectly. Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then a lawyer and a judge.
Yeah. Well, I got to the end of my psychology degree, and I'm like, "Okay, now I'll do music." And my mom's like, "No, grad school." I'm like, "Well, grad school, what am I going to do? I like music." And she was like, "Well, you got this criminal, you know, I did a whole thesis on women's prisons and all this stuff as part of my psych degree." And she said, we were like, "You know, I feel like I gravitate toward the bad guys, right? Or not, they're not all bad guys, but, you know, I gravitate towards like this darker underside of society very naturally in both my punk club music and in my career." And so it was a natural fit, and I became a I wanted to be a public defender. They weren't hiring, so I became a prosecutor in this little tiny at the time town outside of Phoenix. Literally, the court was in a trailer. I'm not even kidding, in the middle of the desert. It was that small, and they were building a courthouse, but it was really small. And then Intel put its headquarters near this town, and it blew up. It became like the fastest growing town in the nation that year. And I was just sitting there as the prosecutor in this one horse town. And the judge was like, he put out the word, but nobody wanted to work there because the pay was horrible and it was in a trailer. And I was like, "I'll be the judge." And he's like, "Okay, let's go." And so then I'm a judge, and I'm 27 years old with rock bands. And, you know, like, okay. And I took it very seriously. The town grew really fast pretty soon. I was sitting on a bench with like all these other highfalutin judges in this beautiful courthouse. I was the city. This is a funny. The city. One day the presiding judge comes in and puts the magazine down, which has my picture on it in this go-go dress and these go-go boots, and I'm like, doing my crazy poses, and he's like, I don't think the city council is going to like this. It's not very dignified. And I was like, okay, but if I was like an Olympic swimmer, I would be on the cover in a swimsuit with a gold medal, and everybody would probably be fine with that. And he was like, good point. And he walked out, and I never heard another word about it by the rest of my career. In fact, flash forward to like 10 years later, and now the court is retweeting my band tweets saying, we're not your grandfather's court. So, people coming to court and going, hey, Judge, can we go off the record for a second? I saw your show last night, homie. It was great. I know. It was like this weird double life that is really hard to describe even to this day. And I did it until 4 years ago is when I finally was able to walk away from it and now do the music full time.
Now that was a great. It showed your skills as a lawyer when he brought the magazine, and you were able to bring the counterpoint, to the.
Yeah, it's all the way you look at it, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. And then, if you're gonna really dive in fully to the music industry, you hear the horror stories. So to come in with knowledge of the law, I think is pretty good to go in having that, right?
It wasn't like intellectual property and trademark and music rights. That was not my area. It was like the most boring contract law stuff I could have ever wanted to, get my head around. And I did not gravitate towards that in law school. So I'm no kind of expert in that stuff. And I have my own lawyers to take care of that stuff because it's terrifying work for me. I got to hear people's stories. I got to hear who beat up who and who's doing that drug and how are we going to rehabilitate you? That's my world, And so, it comes in handy. And then I have a basic understanding of, making a deal with somebody and basic contract stuff. But, actually a lot of my musician friends over the years come to me and say, do you mind looking over this contract? And I'll just glance over it, but I'll be like, if you really want to dig in and really make sure, here's my guy, you got to stay in your lane.
At least you're kind of in the fraternity where you can trust the person you're sending it to have your back. And
those referrals are gold in this world, because in anything, even in punk rock, who defines your life. You can't get a good drummer unless you know the right people. You can't get a great show in Marseille, France, unless you know the right people. And so, knowing the right people in law helps, like knowing the right plumber. It just helps with everything. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, so when did the darts come together? And let's talk about.
So the Love Me Nots toured hard for 10 years. All over the world. We did like everything. People still to this day regularly come to the darts shows all over the world wearing Love Me Nots shirts for me to sign and bringing the records.
And I remember you guys came through Cleveland a few times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Michael, the guitar player who became my husband, he loved Cleveland because he had family from there. His grandparents were from Cleveland originally, and so he loved going to Cleveland.
Okay, I remember definitely seeing the name quite a bit.
Yep.
I may have caught a show back in my drinking days, so that's still a blur. But
my drinking days too, also a blur. It was an incredible experience, and none of us expected it to go that fast, that far, that fast, and so I had to learn a lot of things quickly. And when my relationship with Michael dissolved, and then the band, of course, had to dissolve, the bass player in that band was Christina Nunez. And she and I, for years, had just been, joking around and just half joking, going, I wish this was an all-girl band. Wouldn't that be fun to have an all-girl band, and we wouldn't have to deal with these guys, and we could do our own thing, and and especially after my relationship started going, getting more difficult, that feeling got stronger. Like, I don't want any guys in the band. I just want to do this myself. And so she and I immediately, even before the darts was fully put away, I write songs. I write songs every day. So I had a catalog ready to go of new songs. And we just needed 2 more girls to flesh out our vision. And so being the way I am and never feeling constrained to one region or one city or one area, even in the Love Me Nots, our drummer lived in New York. I just kind of cast my mental net and said, I want the best people I can get who are fun to tour with and who are killer musicians and road warrior, like people that can do this right out of the gate. And so I ended up calling on Ricky Styx, who at the time was drumming with the Dolly Rots and the 210s. She and I just had crossed paths a million times when we would tour through LA and stuff. So I knew her through the grapevine. And then when I saw her drum with the Dolly Rots, I was like, whoa, she got really good. This is amazing. So that was an easy choice. And she jumped on board immediately. And then for guitar, which I knew was vital to the whole thing, the fuzz had to be right. The look had to, everything had to be right about the guitar sound. I remembered this girl who I did not know at all, but they had opened for the Love Me Nots 1 or 2 times in like San Diego and I don't know, Rosemead or something in California. It was Michelle Balderrama, and she played in a band called Brain Spoon. And I just out of the blue called her too. And she was like, I'm in. So pretty soon, it was like in one day, the Darts were formed. Michelle was a great songwriter. We put our songs together. Literally within 2 weeks, we had written Revolution, which was the very first song. And even now that's still on the set. It's being used in a Madonna documentary. Like even right now, like that first song we did, just hodgepodged it together from 2 different cities, threw it together in like the B room of the studio that I recorded on Pro Tools sort of myself and gave it to our producer. And they're like, we didn't expect it to be anything. That's how the Darts started. And within 6 months, we were signed to Dirty Water Records in London, and it just took off. Now, granted, we had all the contacts, and like we were talking about contacts, we had that whole network from the Love Me Nots. And it was kind of the same style of music. Christina and I were both in the Love Me Nots. So it was an easy transition for a lot of people to go, oh, okay, we'll listen to this now, and we just kept it going basically. And the trajectory went even faster when we got signed with Jello and everything later on.
Nice. And then, I started with the introduction with the Midnight Creepin. Let's talk about that single, Midnight Creep. What's the inspiration for that song? And I really like the video. I'm curious about where that was filmed at.
This is such a great. So the Darts like toured really hard for many years, as you probably know, like hundreds of shows a year, and it got tough on the lineup. I had in one summer alone, I had like 3 guitar players had to sub in at different times because everybody had jobs and kids, and it was a lot. And so at the end of our tour in 2024, I knew that lineup, it just couldn't grow with the band the way as fast as the band was growing. And so it was time to like do a lineup change and figure out how to make this band keep on the trajectory it was going. So I brought Ricky back, who had left the band to go play with Death Valley Girls for a few years. So she came back. I brought on Lindsay Scary on bass. Lindsay's here from Seattle. And somebody had mentioned her to me while I was on tour in Germany the previous summer. They were like, oh, you're living in Seattle now. Do you know this band, 38 Coffin? Their bass player is amazing. You would love her. She talks to us at merch. She is wonderful. And so I kind of had my eyes out for it. I ran into her, of all things, when we were both GoGo dancing at an event here in Seattle. And I'm like, oh my God, you're Lindsay. You're the bass player. I've been wanting to meet you. So she came on board. And Rebecca Davidson, who was the guitar player with one of our label mates, Spindrift, they're also on Jello's label. She had subbed in on guitar that busy summer, and she came in on guitar. So I have this total road warrior situation. Everybody's ready to go on tour and just live on the road, and everything's fine. Well, I had started to write during all of this process a Halloween themed record because it stuck in my head that Monster Mash is the only real Halloween anthem that we have in America, and that's just wrong. We need more. So I was like, I'm going to write some Halloween anthems. Let's go. And I just started writing, and I realized, before anybody even knew this, they were just songs on my laptop, demos. Lindsay, who also is a songwriter, a great songwriter, was brand new to the band. We hadn't even started touring yet. She says, you know, I have this idea for a song. I don't know if you can use it. I'm calling it Phantom Creep. And here you go. And I was like, oh, baby, you don't even know. This is perfect with my whole thing that I'm working on. And I go, you know, I hate to mess with a song that somebody else wrote, so I'm going to ask your permission. Can I revamp it? And can I dartsify it and do my thing? And will you, you know, because I don't want to mess with your creativity. And she was like, oh, yeah, take it. Run with it. I don't care what you do. Just honored to have an idea. And then as I was working on the song, she and I were talking and we're like, remember those days back in the 60s, not that we were there, when all the audience would all know the song, like the Watusi or the mashed potato or whatever, and they would all do a dance together to the song. Wasn't that fun? And, you know, we were both go-go dancing. Wouldn't that be cool to incorporate into the set? And she was like, yes. So I'm like, okay, I'll work on the song. You work on a dance. And she did. And so that was all going on. And Midnight Creep happened. And we put this song together, and it's about, you know, creeping. I don't know. So I live in this A-frame, this tiny house A-frame, and it's got like ladder up to the loft situation. And so anytime somebody's asleep up here, you have to creep down the ladder and be really quiet downstairs so you don't wake up the person upstairs. And that stuck in my head as I was writing the song, like this creeping around at night while everybody's asleep. And, you know, so Midnight Creep, that made sense. How fun would it be to like actually not just creep downstairs, but creep outside and go have fun with your friends while everybody's asleep, you know? So that was the thing. And we started playing it out on tour just to test it. And she put together this little dance that has 3 parts: bat wings, sleeping vampire, black cat. and we were like, the first time we played it, she just reminded me, the first time we played it was in France at this little club in La Réole. And we were like, you know, we're playing to a punk rock crowd. They're going to be way too cool to do a dance. Let's just get our expectations in line here. And nobody's going to do it except us. And that's fine. Well, we teach them to dance in French. Everybody's laughing. They're like, okay, whatever. And then at the first chorus, I put my arms up to do the bat wings, and every arm in the whole place goes up. It was like, and they're all doing the dance, and then they're laughing, and then the next chorus, everything. From day one, this song had traction, and a lot of it was this dumb dance. It's not dumb, it's beautiful, Lindsay. But like, it's so silly. Everybody can do it, you know. And we went to Switzerland, we went to Germany, where people don't dance in Germany, but they did. And, you know, then we went to like Chattanooga, and we went to Seattle, and we took it everywhere. And this dance just kept on going. And one of the tour stops was Minneapolis. And somebody wrote to me, and this happens occasionally, you get a random email from somebody you don't know. And they're like, hey, I'm a filmmaker in Minneapolis, and I see that you're coming on tour. If you have time to shoot a short little video, I would love it. My studio's close to the venue. And I am a person that likes to say yes to things. Because I've had the coolest things happen when I've said yes to weird things like that. So I was like, yes, we'll do it. We need a video anyway. It's fine. Just let me know what you need. And he was going to kind of do it for sort of nothing. And I was like, that's even better. Before we arrive in Minneapolis, and we're busy on tour, we're like in Europe when this happened. And we're about to get to Minneapolis, and I looked this guy up, and it's Anthony Cousins, who was the director of this cult horror classic called Frogman that took off and won a bunch of awards a few years back. And I'm like, oh my God, he's legit. What? And so he's like, just come to my friend's garage. We'll have the set ready. I've got crew. I've got cameras. We've got your costumes. Everything's ready. I'm like, okay. We don't even have a concept for this. We arrived 2 hours before the set. And it was crazy to even arrive there, because that was the day in Minneapolis that there was a shooting of 2 legislators in the Minneapolis Congress area, right down the street from where our venue is and everything. So all the streets were blocked off, and it was just a really horrific day to be doing something fun like that. But we get there, and yeah, he's got his friend's garage all like full of smoke and steam and skeletons and crazy lights. And he's got us in ghost sheets. And I don't know, it was just like, we did it an hour or two, and then we all went to the show, and the whole crew came, and they were doing the dance too.
Nice.
It was a great day.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. That's what I was going to say too. I enjoyed the Ghost Go dancers that you had going on there.
Ghost Go! Oh my God! Yes.
Yes, you can use that.
A new hashtag is born. Thank you.
But that way you always think of the show whenever you call them that.
Like I wouldn't remember this.
And I will live on with you guys. But what I liked about too is like, I was like, watching the pretty much like all the videos of the Halloween theme that you're talking about. I'm like, man, I could see them doing like a cameo in like a Rob Zombie movie or something like that. It was great. Every Night is Halloween, obviously, that one I really like too. In fact, back in the day here in Cleveland, I used to be a promoter, and I would book shows. And this is back when I was still like very full of myself, and I'd throw my own annual birthday show with some local bands, the Dollar Bill Birthday Bash, we'd call it. You guys would have been totally on my radar for that, for sure. That'd have been a good time.
Never too late to bring it back.
That's true. I wanted to bring it back for my 50th, and nah, it just didn't happen. But another one, as I was going kind of down the rabbit hole, this was previous before the current album, the breakup makeup song. I mean, who's not about the makeup after a breakup,
Oh yes.
So talk a little bit about that.
Well, that was our first record, our first LP after we signed with Jello. And so I don't know, there was a little bit of pressure in my head to impress Jello. Of course, he's a legend. But I was also in the throes of I was in this relationship where I'd recently gotten divorced from Michael from the Love Me Notes. And I was in this relationship where, you really like the person, but you're scared of commitment because you just got divorced. And it's like this terrifying thing. And I must have broken up with this poor guy 16 times a month, and then gotten back together. Like, oh, I changed my mind. Okay, wait, no, this can't work. No, I changed my mind. And I feel I still, we're friends to this day, so it's fine. But yeah, it was a big messy mess time. And that song just encapsulated what was going on. This freaking roller coaster of everything. And we debuted, we had our album release of all places at Punk Rock Bowling in Las Vegas. And nice. The Alternative Tentacles merch tent, after our set with the brand new record, they did a limited release just for Punk Rock Bowling for that first release day on special like swirl wax and everything. The merch line was, I don't know if you've been to Punk Rock Bowling. It was as far as you could see, the merch line. Like, and that's when we were all like, okay, we're onto something here. This is incredible. And the whole album is a little bit unique sounding in my mind, because previous to that, we had been with Bob Hogue, our producer in Phoenix, who's like my brother. I love him to death. And he's a busy dude. He would be like, Nicole, you just take the B room while I'm working, and you just track all the bass, track all your parts in there yourself, and then I'll mix it. And I'm like, great. And so it was a little, like, I don't want to say slapped together, but it was a little, we were just having fun with it. And I was always like, throw as much distortion on that vocal as you can. I want to trash this stuff. And you listen to the early EPs and you can hear all this distortion and all this trashiness that we loved. But Jello, of all people, Jello Biafra, like one of the trashiest dudes in your mind, right, on earth, was like, he would call me. I remember he called me like right around Christmas, right before, as we were mixing this album, I Like You But Not Like That. And I'm at my mom's house for Christmas, and he's like, this is Jello Biafra. I'm like, okay. So I go out in the backyard. I'm like, hey, he's like, we got to talk about your vocal sound on this record. I'm like, oh no. He's like, it's just not working for me. I'm like, oh God, this is terrible. He's like, you are one of my favorite singers, and I don't think you should cover yourself up with all this distortion and fuzz. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear the lyrics you're writing are too good to have them to miss every other word, because it's like, you want to hear the song. Let me hear the song. And I was like, really? Because I love the trash. Are you sure? And he was like, yeah, just trust me. I'm Jello Biafra. Trust me. So I was like, okay. So I went back to Bob and I'm like, dial it back. Let's Jello this up. And you can hear the difference on this record. In fact, Jello's favorite song from that record is Don't Hold My Hand, which is kind of this romantic, like sappy song. You'd never think that was a Jello Biafra song, but he's got such a big heart, and he's such in his behind the scenes, he is a romantic. The songs that he suggests that we cover and things like that, they're always these gorgeous 60s songs with beautiful Dusty Springfield style melodies and all this stuff. So there's this side of Jello that nobody knows, and you can hear it on that record. I think even on Breakup Makeup, you can hear the words. And our producer Bob Hogue and his wife are the ones in that video that we shot at my house in Phoenix by ourselves. I edited it and put it all together. And it's just about a couple that's alternately, it's supposed to look like home movies of a couple that's kissing and having a great time and barbecuing and listening to records, and then yelling and screaming and breaking up with each other and writing breakup notes and then getting back together again. That's what's going on. Nice.
Yeah, I can relate with what Jello was saying, though. Keep it natural. You have an amazing voice.
Thank you.
And it's like, when like somebody uses like a Snapchat filter and they're already naturally beautiful. Why why do that?
That's so nice. Well, one of the reasons I love it is because I love that overdriven speaker kind of vibe. It just feels like the music's too loud for the world, and even if you play it softly, and I just love that feeling. So that's why I did it. But now I've learned.
But the music kind of already gives you that feeling.
Yeah. So that's what I've learned, is that we can do that with the tones we're getting out of the instruments, and dial it back a little bit on the vocals. And Jello's a legend for a reason. He just is.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been enjoying going down the Dart video rabbit hole and soundtrack. Now I wanted to ask you too about the latest video, Apocalypse, but also I noticed there's I forget what the other one was that I noticed, the Now Dig This show. Tell me about the Now Dig This show.
They're based in Atlanta, and I don't know, it was a few years ago that they came to our attention. I think my drummer in the previous lineup had brought them to my attention and said, hey, my friends the Knee Highs played on this really cool video show, and so if we ever go through Atlanta, we should do this video show. And I was like, yeah, of course. And then we kind of never toured in that area. Like we hardly ever toured in the US at the time, because we were always in Europe, and we're building up a good following there. They treat you so well in Europe. It's just, the pay is great. They give you hotels. They give you a family dinner with the crew every night. Like you're treated so beautifully by everybody there. And then you come back to America, and it's like, we don't want the bands here till 10 o'clock at night. Here's one drink ticket. There's no green room. Go, and you're using terrible backline where everything's broken. Go, and that's, I hate to diss on America, but American punk dive bars are American punk dive bars. And, they're legend. I mean, if you can play here, you can kind of play anywhere, because it's hard. And anyway, so we didn't do it very often, because we were just losing a ton of money every time we did it. It was hard. But finally, a couple years ago, my agent / manager in France was like, it's really time. It's really time. You're an American band. It's time that you play in America for a minute. So I'm going to find you a great booking agent in America, and we're going to run with it. And he found Mickey from Ivy Agency. It's based in Oakland, and Mickey is incredible. Now he's like my brother also. And these two poor guys, my agent there and my agent here, just work day and night trying to book a zillion shows for all my bands. So we finally toured through Atlanta, and it's an amazing thing. He was just like it happened in Minneapolis. He was like, You don't know us, but come to our studio, which is in our house, a few hours before your actual show. We're going to shoot 5 songs and I'll do all the editing and all that stuff. I'm like, we have time for 5 like music video level songs in just a couple of hours and then make it to our show. And he's like, no problem. We got this. We're going to do a whole Halloween episode. I'm going to tell stories. You're going to tell ghost stories. I'm going to do introduction. I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to make this work? It was a little stressful, but we got there. We set everything up. He had everything again. The set was all ready to go. We shot the whole thing. Lindsay, I don't know if you caught this in your rabbit hole. Lindsay tells a ghost story on that episode that you can watch on YouTube. That is one of the coolest things you might ever see a bandmate ever do. It's not just the story, which is a true story about our drummer, but it's also the way she tells it. Lindsay's very theatrical and it's amazing. So anyway, look up Lindsay Scary telling the ghost story. But yeah, so we went in there and with one camera, he shot us playing 5 new songs from the record. We left, went to the show, and he just started editing and he sent me all the tracks. By the time he was done, we had the final mixes from the studio, plugged everything in. And what I love about those videos is they look live. It's a live vibe, but it has the benefit of having the recorded track. So you're really getting to know the song like we want it to be heard. And everything just comes together and so DIY. Max and V that's who does them. They're so DIY. They do everything themselves with one camera, and it's hard. I just love that. It's so amazing to meet people who just do it for the absolute passion of it, and they have these huge followings as a result because they're really good at it.
Nice. And then going back to the single Apocalypse, I like that song as well. You want to share a little bit about the message behind the song?
Yeah. This is the craziest coincidence story ever. Not for me anyway. We were on tour with my last lineup in Angers, France, which is famous for hosting Levitation France and some other really cool music festival stuff. But also they have a castle there. And inside the castle is the famous Apocalypse tapestry. And my bass player said, hey, I really want to see this Apocalypse tapestry. I didn't know what she was talking about. We go to the castle, the 2 of us, and we look at this Apocalypse tapestry, and it's mind-blowing. Back in medieval times, these women sat down and started making this tapestry. And it depicts what they thought the gods were thinking, and then what was happening on Earth during an apocalypse. And the gods are like celebrating because they're like, yay, let's get rid of all the bad royalty and the bad kings and queens and the bad people. And we're going to fire and brimstone this stuff, but their gods are having a great time up top. And so it's like this dual story that goes on. And this tapestry is so huge. It takes up the entire 4 walls of this giant room in this castle.
Wow.
And it's been restored. So it's colorful and it's violent and graphic, and I was like stood there with my jaw dropped. I never really saw anything like that, and I've seen a lot of castles in my touring days. This was amazing. And it was there's been a lot of political unrest, no secret, and the whole thing just kind of spoke to me. And as I was leaving the castle, I got in the van. I'm like, dang, that would make a great song. So as we left, a lot of it, the tapestry shows kings being shot down. So I was like, no kings is going to be a line in this song. And I'm also a Terminator fan, so No Future was also part of it. So No Future, No Kings became a line in the song, blending these 2 things. And I wrote the whole song in the van as we drove to the next stop. I do this a lot, but that was the song I did that day. And kind of put away for a while. And then when it was time to record this Halloween record, it came back up. I realized that Halloween really has 2 sides. It has, the monster kitsch fun trick-or-treaty side with the pumpkins. And then it has like this darker mischief night, devil may care sort of bonfire at 3 a.m. side to it, with the really scary masks and all that stuff. And people, making out in the shadows, and like anyway. So there's two sides to the record as a result. There's the songs I wrote for the monstery kitschy side, and there's this darker, heavier stuff. And I was like, oh my God, Apocalypse is the perfect way to introduce this side of the record. So I brought it back out, and it was still just sitting there on my laptop when, we toured through Minneapolis and we did the Midnight Creep video and all the shootings were happening. And right around that same time, these No Kings marches started all over the US. I hadn't done anything with this song yet. It was just sitting in my laptop still. I hadn't even told anybody about it. And I said to my band, I got this song that's got the words No Kings in it. Why? We should probably add it to the set. So we added it to the set like that week. They learned it in the van and we threw it in the set. And every single night after that, it was another total hit where, Ricky stands up in her drum set during that line and goes, no future, no kings. And people caught on to that, and, the apocalypse, and the fists would go up in the air. And this kept happening. So I was like, oh man, this song, it's going on the record for sure. And so we got into the studio, recorded it. And in the process, Becca was getting sponsored by Gretsch Guitars. They even gave her a free guitar to tour with it in Europe and everything. They've been just amazing. And they needed a song for one of their new advertisements, their new line of guitars. And they were like, can we use Apocalypse, just the instrumental version? We didn't even have the song done yet. It wasn't mastered. Nothing had happened yet. It was just sitting in the can in the studio still. And so Mark, our engineer, our producer, quickly threw it together, mastered an instrumental version himself, and gave it to Gretsch. And Gretsch started using this instrumental version, starring Becca and Lindsay playing the new Gretsch guitar and Gretsch bass in the advertisement to Apocalypse. And this is all last summer. Like, this is a long time before now when the album's finally getting released. So that's the story of Apocalypse. There you go.
Nice. And like Jello, I myself am a romantic at heart and stuff. So I'm very much looking forward to.
We wouldn't like music if we weren't romantics at heart, right?
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. I'm very much looking forward to Halloween Love Songs, the LP dropping soon. When can fans expect to get the full package?
March 3rd is the big apocalyptic day, and it will drop like a big nuclear bomb, hopefully. It's already getting so much press. I can't even believe it. I just read a couple of reviews that came out this week, and it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I love this record.
Yeah, I'm excited, and just in time for my birthday too. All right.
Happy birthday! Yay! I love a new record for my birthday. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's the 16th. I was born an hour before St. Patrick's Day, and those dollar bill bashes back in the day would kill my liver.
Oh God! All right. Well, this one's for you then, Bill.
Thank you. And then I wanted to ask you too about Meow Hiss Music.
That is just simply the name of my company here. I have obviously the darts, but also I have my solo project, Black Viiolet. And Black Viiolet is completely different. It's a neo-soul, jazzy trip-hop thing where I wrote like vintage sounding torch songs. They sound like torch songs, like Nina Simone or something. But I put like Portishead style trip-hop beats underneath it. And I tour this also all over the world. In fact, we're coming to Columbus and Cincinnati in a couple of weeks. But that also is touring all over Europe.
You have to make a road trip.
Oh, I tour with a full horn section. One of the best drummers I have ever seen, Greg Ziemba, who's out of Denver. One of the best trumpet players I've ever seen, Wes Watkins out of Denver. Kerry Jennings and Evan Strauss, who are incredible jazz presences here in Seattle. This whole thing is so elevated talent-wise. I can't even get my head around the people who have played on this record. That record drops tomorrow, the new record. It's called Dark Blue, and I have Black Dahlia from the Dwarves actually does a cameo on it. Jason DeVore from Authority Zero is on it. Tom Hagerman did beautiful string parts. He's in Devachka. So there's just a lot of attention on this project also, and just a lot going on with it all the time. And so I have these two babies, these two children that I have to keep alive and keep feeding. And so yes, I have an umbrella company here, and then they're both heavily overseen by Adrenaline Fix Music in France. And so he there and I here put these albums out together and sort of just collectively make them happen. One of the big things that happens, especially with the darts, it's a great problem to have, but we always run out of records. Our latest album before this new one, Nightmare Queens, came out in June. It sold out of vinyl in 30 days. We frantically, and because we were doing this just by myself, I could repress it immediately without having to wait for any other label or anybody to step up. I could just do it. Put in the call. We need more. Start pressing. The second pressing sold out in 60 days. We repressed it again. So now it's in its third pressing by November. So the just keeping up with the traction of the darts pressing needs, it's more than most labels can do, to be honest. It's a demand that it's hungry. It's a hungry child, and it needs a lot of love and attention. So it's very hard to ask a busy label, a huge label, to give that so much attention when they have so many bands and so many demands. So this is why it's now under our own umbrella. We also have to press a lot in Europe. There's a whole separate pressing going on in Europe for both bands because the demand there is so heavy. And so it's like a constant process, and having my own company here and there with him, it makes so many things easy and possible and controllable fast, which is what I like. I'm just growing old here. I just want to put records out as fast as we can.
Nice. Wow. I tell you what, Nicole, you're something special. This was an awesome conversation. I'm in awe, and I'm glad we got to talk. I hope I can make a road trip down to Columbus and see you live.
Please do. I'd love to put you on the guest list. We're playing at Ace of Cups. It's going to be a really fun night, and just a lot of cool people are going to be there. And it's this Black Viiolet project is so special and personal. Every song I tell a little story, and it's just, I don't know, it's such a great project. I think it's amazing to me, but all the darts fans are migrating around over. They're packing the rooms. Even in Europe, people just love this project. People have very open minds. I'm doing interviews with punk magazines about Black Viiolet now. It's really crazy how people just love a lot of stuff, and I'm just so happy about that. So
we're all romantics, right?
Yeah, we are romantics. Yes.
Now back to the darts. What's ahead for the darts? Any tours lined up? Well?
Any tours? All the tours are lined up, all of them. The album drops March 3rd. From March through December, I will basically be on tour.
Okay.
Mostly, it'll be mostly darts, but Black Viiolet hopscotches in between. So it's like this, like all year long. The darts start the Halloween Love Songs tour in France. I will already be in France because I will have been on tour in Europe with Black Viiolet. So the darts, one band flies home, one band flies there, means to me, and we go. And so that we start in France. We're doing like a little special showcase tour in France. And then we do all of May on the western side of the US. We're doing that tour with one of our most favorite bands in the United States, Service. Service is Russell Simmons' band. Russell Simmons, who played with John Spencer and just a lot of great projects. And his wife, Jilly, who fronts it, is one of the best rock singers I may have seen in 5 years. Like, she's unbelievable. She's like the new Alison Mosshart. She's unbelievable. This band is so good. So we instantly, when we did a couple shows with them last year, and we were like, we want to tour with you. And so we put this whole thing together. We're doing the whole Western US with them, all of May. And then we go home for a minute, and then we go and do the whole eastern side of the US in June, including Cleveland. We'll be back at Beachland. And
okay. That's what I was going to ask.
That's in June. We haven't announced it officially, so I'm not allowed to say too much. So don't
All right.
call Beachland. They'll drive you crazy. They'll get on my my backside for announcing that. Don't announce it.
All right.
And we're coming. And so we're going to be doing a lot of stuff there. Playing on WFMU. A lot of really cool stuff is going on in that tour. Then in September, we go to Japan for the first time, and then Australia for the first time. And then we spend, get this, 2.5 months, October through December, doing all of Europe and Scandinavia and the UK and all that stuff over there. So it's crazy. And in the process, I've already booked the time. We have a few days off in August, and we're going back to LA to do the next record, which is already written.
You are amazing. That is awesome. Well, I am definitely looking forward to catching you in one shape or form, as you come through the area.
You should come to both.
Okay. Twist my arm. All right. Nicole, this was an awesome conversation. I really appreciate
Thank you.
talking with you and getting to learn more about you. For any fans out there that might be new to the Darts or Black Viiolet, or just your story, your amazing story, where would you send them that want to support you?
I would send them to thedartsus.com. That'll take you to our link tree. That'll take you to anything you want. And then Black Viiolet, it's blackviiolet.com. Now, Black Viiolet is spelled with 2 I's, Black Viiolet. So blackviiolet.com and thedartsus.com will give you everything you need there.
Awesome. And then before I get ready to wrap up with you, can I ask one last favor of you?
Do it.
You mind cutting a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hi, this is Nicole from the Darts, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle podcast.
Awesome. Nicole, thank you so much for that. This has been a great conversation. I look forward to meeting you in person and seeing you perform.
Yay! And let me know. I'll put you on the list. I'll be happy to do so. Thanks for everything.
All right. Thank you.
See you later.
All right! Listen up! Hold on to your seats. Grab your girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.